I'm doing some testing today with Paracord to see what kind of designs work well with our new Bit Bead. I've got this Bit Bead here on a Paracord bracelet design. If you're not familiar, our Bit Beads are little lanyard beads that hold inside of them two-dimensional Leatherman-style bits, and they just tuck away and sit on a bracelet. We've got them on keychains real nice and easy, but anything you want to use 550 paracord for, you can pretty much slot on the Bit Beads. Here's the same design here off my wrist, and you can see once you take it off, you do have access to that bit driver, and then this will cinch down to fit your wrist. So I'm going to show you how I made this, and I'll start with the disclaimer that I am by no means an expert on paracord weaving, but just thought it'd be a fun little process to try out and see what works well with this design. If you guys know any paracord weaver YouTubers who want to try this out, let me know in the comments below, because I'd love to send this off and get some expert opinions and ideas on what could be done with these. I'm going to actually switch, I guess it doesn't matter. So I'm just pushing the end of this paracord through the Bit Bead. It can be a little bit stiff where where you melt it over occasionally. If you pinch that with pliers while it's hot, you might have a better result, but I didn't want to open these holes up anymore in case it, well, I didn't want it to slide too easily in and out once it's in. But you can see once we've got that in there, it does slide plenty easily. There's a little powder remnant from this this one that just came off the line, if you're wondering what that's about. This side, see, that side was a little bit cleaner on the end, so it just slid right through. So we're going to start off with this crisscross sort of thing. Let me lay that down. So we're going in one side, around, and in the other side, and there's our two free ends. And we're going to be doing basically a double fisherman's knot, but in a particular way in order to make that cinch up nice and neat, and kind of keeps the ends near the bead so the bead doesn't slide all the way around. The bit inside will hold that from separating a little bit, but those stopper knots help as well. And obviously it's captive, so you're not going to run into any issues losing the cap. Let's tie our first knot. So we're going to be tying a fisherman's knot here, I believe it's called. Start by going over the first end. Hopefully you can see that. We're going over that kind of standing middle cord. Then we're going to go over again. And what that leaves us with is this kind of X shape with the central cord running through. And then we're going to come over our two central lines, which is the standing central cord as well as the working cord that we're working with. And we're going to go through, let me point to it with a little pointer here. We're going to come through this hole here and then out this hole here. So we'll just do that now. I'm going to give myself a little bit more working room here. So I'm just going to rejigger that knot so you can see it a little bit better. And right before you cinch it down, it should look something like this. Hopefully that is sufficient. Now, oh, I should have said, we started with just enough cord to go around my wrist 3 times with about 1 inch of overlap at the end. And that's what I found works best. Now, you could leave some extra and slowly tighten it up until you find the right fit. That would be perfectly fine. But let's just cinch that knot down. I'll show it to you one more time so you'll see it again. But when that's tidied up, you're going to see an X pattern on one side using this blue. Hopefully it's a little bit more visible on camera. And then you're going to have 2 parallel lines on the back side, and that's the fisherman's knot. I left very little standing end. You could leave a little bit more and then trim it off if you were a little more comfortable, and you might have to adjust where that knot lands in order to set the tightness, because this is a closed loop, so it does not want, it wants to be set right at the correct length, and then it'll loosen up to get on and off. So I'm going to cinch that knot up, and that's how this bracelet works, is through the friction from that knot on the central cord. So I'm going to cinch that loop up, and that's going to be your external loop. Now we've got that central middle loop that comes from one side of the bit bead to the other, and we're going to work on that next. But we just want to make sure that when we start tying, we are past our first stopper knot. Because when you open this up, they're going to cinch back towards each other, and that's going to set your limit for how open it can get. But if you set it on the inside, you will have the opposite or a completely different issue. All right, let's tie that fisherman's knot again. Again, we're on that central line using the other end of the cord. First step I'm going to do is go over and back under. You can see how that gives us a bit of a half of a pretzel loop. Then we're going to go over again and back under. That's going to give us, let me shape this up just so you can see it as clearly as possible. We're going to have our central line running through the middle, and we're going to have this big loop with an X pattern across that central line. And then we're going to come under one last time. And when now we've got kind of a double, a double loop. And we're going to come over the start of this working end and then up through that X that we've created there. So we're going over it and then up through the X. And again, I'll leave that here before I cinch it down so you can kind of see how that comes together. And I'm going to pull on the standing end more than the working end to try and save as much of that working length as we can. And we will clean up that knot as we go. If we need to, we can loosen that up and feed a little bit more of that standing end in, or we could snip that right there if the fit is right and just melt it down. I don't have a lighter on me. I've just been using a soldering iron, which is not ideal, but we work with what we got. So now we've got this central line and we have completed our paracord bracelet. Actually, not too shabby. Now, one drawback of this design, let me take my previous version off so I can slip this new one on. You are gonna have, it is a bit finicky to get on and off as far as tightening it down. Comes on pretty easily as far as, at least in my case. I think this will be pretty typical. And then we're gonna hold on to that central line and push that stopper knot up, and it's gonna cinch its own loop. So that loop is now tight on my wrist, but the other two loops are loose. So we can slide our bit bead up to the top or bottom if you prefer. And then this other stopper knot's gonna go in the other direction, again, riding along that central loop. So that's what kind of determines the length of your bracelet. And once we get it nice and cinched up on both sides, we can tidy it up just a little bit, dress our knots, and there you go. There is a very simple bracelet. It'll kind of set itself over time once you wear it. The tight loops will loosen up, and the loose loops will tighten up. I don't know, vice versa, one or the other. That is my attempt at a paracord bracelet designed for our bit bead. Would love to know what you guys come up with in the comments below. Send me pictures, Zach, Z-A-C-H, at multipartsstore.com, because I would love to see. I'm sure people can come up with more. I did attempt, if I can find it, a Cobra weave version. The melting of the ends was a disaster, so pardon the ugly look. This one is a little bit more adjustable, just cinches up on the wrist, and there is enough room here. This whole section of Cobra weave can kind of slide just enough that you can still, of course I can't do it on camera, access that bit, fold it over, and do some light screwdriver tasks. So that is another option, but just didn't come out quite as clean as I had hoped. So that's for what it's worth. I think still my favorite way of carrying this is going to be on a nice simple lanyard like this, just an overhand knot at the end. If you guys want to see a video on this, let me know. Maybe I'll do a short just to show this off, but this is a really great option. You can carry it alongside your pocket knife and grab a T6 bit, T6, T8 bit, and use that to tune up your pocket knife as needed. I think that's a really neat little option. So that's a little bit of my attempts here. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we will catch you in the next video.